Hey everyone, my name is Matt. Welcome to my shop. Today is May 10th and this is my weekly shop update. So last week I mentioned the Toronto Meetup, and this week I have the final details for that. It's going to be the 28th of May, so the end of this month, in just a few weeks at 6 p.m. at the Duke of York. The whole lower level there is reserved for the Meetup. It's going to be a fun time. What I'm most excited about though is the fact that it's not just a come meet me. There are a few other creators who have gotten involved with this meetup that will be there as well. So far there are 4 others, and maybe we'll add some more, we'll see. So far we have Chris from Toolify, we have Igor from Inspire to Make, we have Art from Words and Wood, and we also have, John Heiss is going to be there as well. So it's going to be a fun time. I'm really looking forward to it. It is going to be a blast. So this week in the shop, you obviously saw, well, hopefully you saw the video I did on the Mother's Day plaque thingy. So since I didn't do any talking in the video, I thought I'd do a little follow-up today and just touch on a few things that I learned along the way working on this project. So the first thing I'll mention is, as I was cutting the rods down to the little 1/4-inch pieces, which took me 45 minutes to cut all those. There's like 150 pieces of brass in this project. So as I was cutting those, I had this thought in my mind that I should probably chamfer the ends, one end of each of these little cutoffs, so that it'll go into the holes a lot easier. And at the time I was like, I don't really want to add another step to this process. But that would have made inserting the rods into the walnut a lot easier. One of the problems I had was getting them started. So if I place the rod over the hole and start to hammer it in, it might go in askewed or something like that, which would end up damaging the wood around the brass rod. So I have a few spots, or actually I have a pretty good amount of spots here where the walnut is damaged, and you can see some epoxy from where the epoxy is holding the rods in. So having a chamfer on the bottom of each of those pins would make putting them in and get them started a lot easier, and it wouldn't damage the surrounding wood. So that would have been a nice thing to think about if I ever do this again, at least. The other thing is, when I was drilling the holes, if you saw in the video, I had the piece of wood at all kinds of different angles. What I was trying to do was angle it enough so that when I put the round stock in and flush them down, they end up being oval. But I guess I didn't have quite enough angle, because they all look round still, even though the holes are drilled at an angle to the face. So another thing to think about. The other thing was making the handprints. So as you saw, I put a coat of Armor Seal on the walnut first before doing the handprints and then sealing it in later. The idea with finishing it first was that if the handprints didn't work out, I could wipe the paint away and do another one because the wood is sealed. That kind of worked, and it kind of didn't. I guess the paint that I was using didn't really clean up very well, so there is some ghosting of paint on the surface here, which you can kind of see. So you can kind of see how this kind of get some white color going on there. So it was really hard to get the paint to wipe off. So I do have some paint that's on the surface there, which is fine. It kind of reminds me of how much fun or how interesting it was to try and get handprints out of a 9-month-old. The dog prints went a lot easier. She didn't have a problem with that. Overall though, this was a really fun project. I'm really happy with the way it turned out, and with a lot of these weird things that I do, it is a learning experience. That's for sure. I forgot who asked about how much epoxy I used, but I used 12 pumps of epoxy in this entire project. I want to say the bark was 10 batches of epoxy to get that all sealed in, and then I used 2 batches to glue in the rods, because it took me so long to get those all installed that my epoxy would set up in the cup. It took me an hour and a half to install all those little pieces of brass, and there's around 150 of them. But I'm really happy with the way it turned out. My wife loves it, and it was a great learning experience for me, and I don't know, kind of a fun thing. So that's my project for the week. Let's get into some viewer projects. The first one I have here is from Peter. This is a giant round table. This thing is 6 foot 8 inches in diameter. It's made from reclaimed 2x10 oak joists. And this thing is just massive. The base is assembled with dominoes, and it's also made from that reclaimed 2x10s. This thing is going to be fun to move, that's for sure. Next up is an ant damaged slab from Ron. Ron actually picked this slab up from me, and I shipped it to him, and it turned out awesome. He filled the ant damage with epoxy and added some hairpin legs, and it looks awesome. Great work on this one, Ron. Check out his Instagram page for more pictures of stuff he's been working on. Next is a Keepsake Box by Josh. He built this for his dad. It's made from curly maple and wengi, and this was his first project that he used dovetails on. He had done some practicing in the past, but this is the first project where he actually cut the joinery on a project part, and I think it turned out awesome, so great job, Josh. Last up are a set of Burl tools by Dema. Dema picked up this Burl from me probably a few months ago and ended up turning it into a bunch of really awesome tools. This is a cherry Burl that I had sitting around for probably 2 years, and I wasn't going to do anything with it. So he got it from me, and he turned it into some amazing tools. He made a mallet, actually made a few mallets out of this Burl, but he made a mallet for himself, a marking gauge, as well as a dovetail marker, and that cherry Burl looks awesome. He did a fantastic job stabilizing it and making it all usable, so definitely check out Dema's work if you haven't already. He does some awesome stuff. So last week, Matthew Morris and I released a new episode of the Matt and Matthew Show. This time we had Mike Pekovich on for an interview, and then in a week and a couple days, we'll have Mike Pekovich's shop tour out as well. Mike was an amazing person to talk to. He has some amazing insight on woodworking and just making things in general. Definitely check that out. It was probably our best episode. Or at least that's what the consensus is so far. Also, real quick, I do have t-shirts back in stock. I have sizes small all the way up to 5X now, so a pretty good range of sizes. So if you were waiting for your size to come in for a t-shirt, they are back in stock. So I think that's about it for this week. Thank you as always for watching. I greatly appreciate it. If you have any questions or comments about anything I talked about today or anything here in my shop, please feel free to leave me a comment. As always, I appreciate those, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have. And until next time, happy woodworking.